And with the situation that happened March 2nd, I have people that's not on the JEDCO board telling me, hey, I kind of heard about what happened. What happened? Because I'm being told nothing happened. And I'm told, and this was what was said to me. So allegedly, Mamie Horn and Debbie Foster is telling people that it didn't happen. Why would they do that? Because this is open to the public that happened. Randy Sayers cussed Debbie out, right? So he curses her out. She tells me that he cussed her out. Well, so I feel the same way she feels. Me getting cursed out, I feel like you feel.
So what about the sports complex? I know that's been a topic of conversation, but what about the sports complex? I mean, just from what you've seen since you've been on the board, I know it's a hot topic, on some level. Tell me what your thoughts are on what you've seen and heard.
You know what? That would be great for Jasper.
Okay.
Wow. That would be great because Jasper needs something here for the children. And I am partial to kids. And I think that if that does happen for Jasper, and Mr. Hildebrand it just warms his heart. And it warms me just to see him have so much passion about it, And I told him that's going to be awesome. The sports complex, we are working on that. We're talking about it. That's all I can say about that right now.
Okay. Has there, so JEDCO is currently talking about what does it seem like the temperature is?
Well, we have a committee.
Okay.
And I'm on that committee.
Okay.
We have a side committee. And the only thing that I can say today is that we are working on it, and I can't say yes, I can't say no, because we have not gotten that far yet.
Gotcha. Okay. Makes sense.
Yes.
What would you say about the good old boy system in Jasper?
I think that I believe it's a good old boy system in Jasper. Let me say that.
Okay.
I feel that if you know you're a part of it, don't talk against it.
Okay.
I feel that I like when people show me who they are in the daytime and night. Don't say something for attention. Don't say what I'm going to say Black people want to hear, for any people for that matter, but especially Black people.
Okay.
Because going back to what happened at that meeting, had a Black man, and let's see, we have Keith Scott, Derek C. Strong, he wasn't there, Ray Lewis wasn't there.
Right.
But had one of those men cursed Angel out, they would have went to jail that night.
You think so?
I know so. That's how I feel.
Okay.
I've been in Jasper all my life.
Okay.
And I'm not throwing the police department under the bus. I'm saying she would have called the cops immediately.
I got you.
And I feel like they would have been asked to leave.
Okay.
But a white man curse a Black woman out, it's okay. Had the tables been turned on her, and her husband is with her, and I admire him for that. He's with her.
Right.
How do you think her husband would have felt about that?
Yeah.
I mean, you cursed my wife out, but I stood up for myself. And the next day, Tina Wright, she texts me. And she tells me, I'm sorry that happened to you. That was very unacceptable. Well, why you couldn't say that night? Why couldn't you just pull me to the side and say, hey, I hate that happened.
Yeah, just check on you.
So it is a good old boy system.
Okay.
And to me, when Angel was standing there, she's city council, she could have at least looked at Ronnie and say, hey, we can't use those words. Don't do that. She's a woman first. She has daughters. I have daughters.
Right.
Just being a woman first, I feel like she should have said something.
Okay.
And I felt like that was a good old boy system moment for her to say, he's just playing.
So, okay, then let me see if I'm interpreting what you're saying properly.
Mm-hmm.
By her not doing that, she showed that she's part of the good old boy system. So, okay, so then my next question is, do you feel like the good old boy system is the narrative that you were pitched to run for JEDCO?
from what she said to me, from what I was told, it seemed like a good old boy system.
Okay.
Are you understanding me?
Yes.
Okay. But I don't know if that was a good old boy system because I wasn't on the board then at that time.
Gotcha.
I hear that it was. A pair of lips will say anything.
Right.
That's
true.
But if you're talking about the good old boy system, you only saying that to me for attention and to make us think that I'm not a part of that.
Right.
It's so much prejudice in Jasper, and it's this and this and that, which I've been in Jasper, and yes, it's prejudice wherever you go.
Okay.
And yes, it's prejudice in Jasper.
You think so?
I think so. I've been here. I'm 54.
Okay.
I've been here.
No, I get that. I get that. But
and it can be prejudice on both sides.
Yeah.
You can have
that.
white people that doesn't like black people. You have black people that doesn't like white people for whatever reason.
Do you feel like that is used as a tool to manipulate people sometimes?
It could be.
And what I'm saying is coming to you, appealing to you from that side.
You know what? And I thought about that. It's funny you asking me that because I've thought about that so many times. She said everything she needed to say to me.
Okay.
To me to drill this in me.
Okay.
And for me to think these are bad people. They stole money.
And you're talking about Eddie Hopkins and those guys. Okay.
Yes.
But so come to find out, after all of the documentation come forth,
it wasn't
no wrongdoing.
No wrongdoing.
Okay.
No wrongdoing.
Do you feel like you have been, for lack of a better way of putting it,
I think I was placed on the board for pun. Is that what you're asking me?
Okay.
Like, I felt like that.
A pawn.
Today, that's just, what we say.
Okay.
Well, I would say, I hate to use the word using me.
Okay.
Just making a statement using me. But I felt like, We'll get her. She running for school board, and I'm gonna get her and put her on JEDCO if she accepted, and then we'll just groom her up to what we know, what we think, or what we know. It's called false narratives.
Okay.
And I felt like I was fed a lot of false narratives because the things that were said about the money being taken, grants just being passed out, and stuff like that. There is no smoking gun on money being taken.
Has Miss McCroskey been the only one who has handled you this way?
Well, no, she's not.
Really?
No, she's not. I've received phone calls. I received a phone call. We had a closed meeting. Let me say this. JEDCO. We had a closed JEDCO meeting. And in closed meetings, nothing in that meeting is supposed to come out of that room. People leave out. My lot and them leave out. Everybody leaves out.
Okay.
But I get a phone call questioning me about things that they heard in the meeting. And I'm like, I'm not at liberty to talk about that.
Okay. How does that happen? So here's okay. I'm a little confused here, so we'll just clear it up.
Okay.
Plus, I'm a little bit slow, but if you are in a closed meeting,
right,
are you saying that people who were in the closed meeting with you call you up and talk to you about what happened in the closed meeting?
People that was not there.
People that wasn't even in the meeting.
That wasn't in the meeting.
So how would they know?
Part of it. Somebody had to tell them.
Okay.
And I told her, I said, ma'am, I can't talk about that. I said, I'm not at liberty to talk about that.
So
that's against the rules.
So there's some sort of leak.
It's a leak in the building. It was a leak in the building more than one time. Everything that's said in a closed session, somebody else knows about it that's not on JEDCO.
Do you feel at liberty to to say who that was?
It's the truth, Debbie Foster would call me.
Really?
And she would just say, we don't need this, we don't need that. I said, hey, I just told her, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. She said, let me say what she said to me.
You're talking about Miss Foster.
I'm talking about Miss Foster.
Okay.
She said to me, y'all don't need to let Eddie come back. I said, I don't know anything about Eddie coming back. And then she said some things that I cannot repeat that was said in the meeting because I still can't talk about it.
Right.
And I told her, ma'am, that's not happening. Whoever told you that? Well, I got a little birdie. I said, well, your bird will have to continue to tell you whatever you guys talked about because I can't talk about it.
Okay.
I understand when people want to be in control.
Okay.
It's people that really want to be in control. And
you feel like we have that here in Jasper?
yes, we have that here in Jasper. If you're not doing what some people want you to do and thinking on their level about things, you're nothing. You're not a good person.
Do you have any examples of that?
Well, let's take Bealls.
Okay.
I mean, I had the last words for that. Angel got mad.
Okay.
She didn't like it and she didn't hold it a secret.
Okay.
But what I do like about her is that she's not afraid to speak.
Okay.
But what I'm not too, cool with is let people have their own thoughts. No two people think alike. And she knows that no two people think alike. She knows that.
Right.
But know it and just know that. You cannot get upset with somebody for not voting the way you want them to vote.
Right.
Now, did she say, hey, I need you to vote this way? No, let me make that clear.
Right.
But talking to her when it's done, when Tom McClurgan, I hope I'm saying his name, when he come back to work for free, he wanted to come and work for free. I got a phone call about that. And don't misunderstand me. I don't mind people calling me, but don't call as if you're chastising me because I'm grown. I'm a grown woman.
So who chastised you?
She said, well, I'm not fussing at you. I said, I know you're not because I'm grown. I'm 54. And I told her that I make my own decisions.
Right.
And I'm not the only one on the board voting. Did you call the other people as well? Okay. That's what I said to her. I asked her that question, because I'm not voting by myself.
So how many conversations do you think that you had prior to you getting on the board with Miss McCroskey?
I can't tell you. It's not a whole lot of conversations because people, like I say, people will change. And I had a conversation with her one morning. It was about the Facade grant.
Okay.
And we talked about, that it was on the agenda to, I guess, do away with it. And I talked about us not doing away with it, So
you were for the Facade grant?
Yes, I was for the Facade grant. Yes, I am. Yes, sir. Because it's for the downtown businesses.
Okay.
And I can say this, and I'm not lying.
Okay.
Miss Tina Wright, she says that if you have your own business, then you shouldn't need a grant. Fix your own place up. And then I felt some kind of way because I have a small business.
Okay.
And I'm not downtown and I'm on JEDCO. And I just wanted to be recognized. And I said, so you're telling me, ma'am, that if I come in here for a grant and say I am downtown, you're going to look at me that way, that I can't get a grant, I shouldn't even apply? Right. Because I already have a business.
I think that's where some of the rub came in, was that you had some folks on JEDCO who owned businesses downtown who came and applied for the grant. It was a matching grant. They had to put up thousands of dollars in order to match the grant. So it wasn't like just a cut and dry type of deal. Plus, there's no place in bylaws or anything like that outlines that if you're on the JEDCO board operating as a board member, that you cannot apply for the grants that JEDCO provides.
True.
So, and I think that's where some of the rub came in, is because a few of the former board members had applied and actually were successful in receiving the grant monies for the
That's
Facade.
where it was unethical. She was saying that it's unethical for anybody to be on the board and receive a grant. And I think that's true. I think that is true. I think that...
okay, but at the same time, you're saying on one hand, you're for the Facade.
I'm for the Facade grant, yes.
All right. And you're also saying that with you being a small business and you being on the JEDCO board, do you feel like it is unethical for you to receive grant money sitting on the JEDCO board if you match all the criteria, including the financial responsibility?
I don't think it's unethical, but it's against the rules, is what we were told. You can't do that. And I don't.
Okay.
because people look at you like you on this board, you serving the community, and here you are asking for a grant. Do
Okay.
that make sense to you?
Sure.
I would me myself, I would just get an SBA grant. I wouldn't even do it because I'm on the board, and I wouldn't want them looking at me that way. And then
Okay.
it'll cause a conflict with the ones that feel like you should not be getting this grant.
Okay.
Am I making myself clear on that?
It makes sense. It makes sense. So you believe it's unethical to receive money if you're on the JEDCO board?
I don't just believe it's unethical. I don't have a problem with anybody getting a grant that's on the board.
Okay.
But you have people that's on the board, one or two, maybe 3 or 4, that has a problem with it. And that will cause a conflict with them even speaking on it. You sitting there, you put in for the grant, but you there at the table, right? Am I making any sense?
Sure.
Okay. And then you going back and forth with them about you getting a grant for your business. So I personally don't think it's unethical to do that if you have open-minded people that say, "Oh yeah, we're good. Well, that would be great." But with a facade grant, you have to spend money first though, and bring receipts.
Exactly.
And show us what you're doing.
Right.
And then how much you spent, and pictures before and afters.
Yeah.
And then this is what you need. So it's not like we're just going to pass out a facade grant.
Right.
It's
not like you're just making it rain downtown.
Just making it rain. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like outside of the situation with Mr. Sample and Miss McCroskey, do you feel like you have been kind of, for lack of a better way of putting it, kind of bullied a little bit in this over your time? Because you said a few times there that it seems like you've been a pawn in somebody's game on some level, and so do you feel like that?
I felt like because...
Or you feel like they tried to do that?
Yeah. I feel like because I didn't think like them.
Okay.
And I'm not a yes woman.
Okay.
I think for myself. And I feel like they didn't like it. That he and she and a few others did not like it because they still digging to me to see... have anybody overlooked something with any money being taken? I feel like that because of how I feel is when they started treating me a little different.
Okay.
And let me make myself clear. It doesn't matter if you like me or not, but you will respect me.
Gotcha.
She changed, and I talked to her about that. I said, we're just going to talk on this phone, but in public you don't speak. Is that how you want this? Because after we voted to keep the facade grant, she didn't like it. And she called me that morning, and there was a few words crossed, but nothing of a fight.
Right.
She apologized because I had to tell her I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to Ms. Wright. And she was apologetic, her tone.
Right.
And then I said, no, I wasn't talking to you,
Right.
That's all I said to you. I wasn't talking to you.
Right.
Well, I didn't want to say nothing, but she was trying to explain to me why we should not have voted for the facade grant. She said that any citizen in Jasper can press charges on us if we give out that grant. I said, well, the grant came, if I'm not mistaken, that's a federal grant.
No,
a government grant or something like that. No, this is what I said to her.
That's what you told her.
No, that's what I said to her.
I got you.
And remember, Jay, I'm still learning.
Yeah, no doubt.
You understand?
No doubt. You're 6 months in,
and so
right?
that's why I'm trying to be very careful with my words talking to you. I don't want to give you the wrong information.
Yeah.
I want to give credible information.
Gotcha.
And so, and then he looked at it and we come back and his words was like, hey, that was right. What we did was right. We didn't do a forensic audit. We did an audit because Mr. Getz, he told us, hey, you can do an audit and see if anybody's been taking any money. You can do an audit.
You can just do a regular audit.
You can just do a regular audit, but, she was saying that should have been, that should have happened. The forensic audit should have happened.
Okay.
See, what people don't get, and I'm saying Angel, Sample, and the others, what people does not get is that you cannot make someone think a certain way. I only can tell you, but the Bible says try the spirit by the spirit, and so, when I pray about things, God is not going to show us everything right then.
Okay.
But I was feeling like this is more personal.
Right.
This is more personal. And
so okay, let me see if I'm wrapping my head around this. So you feel like you were kind of placed there by, like, to be a pawn and to be somebody that they could easily influence and tell you how to vote, what situations to vote for.
Saying it without saying it, through the conversations after things were done. Nobody has said, but Mr. Sample, don't vote for that,
Okay.
But I told him, you don't tell me how to vote.
Right.
But with Angel, I knew that she did not want Bealls. I knew that. She wanted them to do all of it themselves.
Okay.
And that was her personal, I took it as her personal feelings. That's her personal feelings.
Right.
That's not mine, though.
Okay.
But because they had the amount of money that Bealls was wanting was wrong. And so that made me think a little more like, well, that's not right. They're not asking for that amount of money. And they wasn't.
Right.
And so I just told her I feel good with how I've been voting, and that I told her, if you think I'm not doing a good job, then, do what you have to do to remove me.
Right.
Because I'm not voting by myself.
Okay.
It's other people on the board.
No doubt. So I know recently Miss Norsworthy, she actually went before the city council and talked to the city council about some of the things JEDCO's doing. And one of the things was specific with, I think, the building or the location that Spectra is currently using. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's some parts of the building that needs to be fixed.
Who owns the building?
JEDCO.
JEDCO owns the building. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And some of the grounds need to be fixed. If I'm not mistaken, the driveway or whatever. I was there at that meeting.
Okay.
And we voted to let's get it done.
Okay.
And once we voted to get it, yes, let's do it. It needs to be done. Angel says, well, it has to come to city council.
Okay.
Anyway, because it's over $85,000 of work.
Okay.
Anything over $85,000 has to be sent to the city council. They have to.
They got to approve the expenditures.
They got to approve that. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so when she said that it has to come to the city council anyway,
right,
Ms. Horn gets up and say that part and walks out. And I'm like, even if you're going to vote against it or whatever, you don't have to let us know you are. And it made me feel like we voted to fix JEDCO's building, the driveway, whatever needs to be fixed, it has to be approved by city council. Ms. Horn is on city council. Mr. Hildebrand is on city council.
Right.
McCroskey is on city council. And then for her to cockily say that it has to come to city council, we know that. And then when Ms. Horn gets up and do that part, I'm like, that was why would you do that? We know that you guys are there, but Mr. Hildebrand is not against fixing it. And I'm not just saying that McCroskey is totally against it. Okay. But it has to be done.
I got you.
Because it's JEDCO's building and grounds.
And so Spectra is the tenant.
Yes.
They're the tenant.
They pay rent to JEDCO.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha.
That's open public records. They pay the JEDCO, but to me, the cockiness.
Okay.
And to me, it's called power without pay.
Okay.
And that's how McCroskey act. This is my opinion.
Sure.
Power without pay. We don't get paid for this, but and I'm not speaking on pay saying that I want to be paid.
Right,
No,
right,
sir.
right.
As I stated earlier, I enjoy serving my community.
Right.
But it's the cockiness, the bullying, which I'm not going to let anybody bully me. But when people see that they can't bully you like me being bullied out of trying to be bullying me out of my seat.
Yeah.
Once I said the first time I did not want to get up, that should have been it.
Gotcha.
So I would have phone calls and text messages. It got overwhelming to me. And
text messages.
Yeah, text messages, phone calls,
So-
text messages. It got a little overwhelming telling me who to vote for and this and that. These people, I'm not even in the district of the people. I'm in District 4.
Okay.
I'm in 4.
So who are you being told to vote for? I mean, if you don't mind me asking.
Well, I was told to get people to vote for Holmes
Okay.
and told to Barkins. And
Okay.
I'm like, I'm not, hey, no. I said, I'm not a yes woman.
So Miss McCroskey.
No, not Miss McCroskey. Let me make that clear.
Okay.
Not Miss McCroskey.
Okay.
It's, Debbie Foster was trying to, these are her friends. She wanted me to get people to get, let's do this and that, and in the text message. And
So how does she fit in the mix?
they're all friends. They're all friends, and I have nothing against people being friends.
I guess my question is, how does she fit in the mix for you? Do y'all have a long-standing relationship?
No. I met Debbie at City Council.
Okay.
And that's how we start talking when I would go to the meetings.
And when did that start? Before
That
you
started
went
in
to JEDCO?
that was before JEDCO.
Okay.
So that was like in March, I think.
Okay.
I started going a lot. Well, I'll say February.
Okay.
I started going a lot of the meetings then.
You're talking about February
city-
of this year?
Yeah, February of 2025.
2025. Okay.
And that's how we kind of knew each other. But being a friendly person is fine with me. I'm a friendly butterfly myself.
Okay.
But don't tell me what to do.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying. You can ask me, but you coming to me for everything, and I respect my elders. I respect people, mothers. I respect my people. I respect
Sure.
people. Period.
Right.
But sometimes people can be a little pushy,
Okay.
and I'm not going to be pushed.
Okay.
I'm going to vote for who I want to vote for. I'm going to pass out cards if I, want to who I want to.
Okay.
And I try, like the Bible said, try the spirit by the spirit. That's my saying. And I'm voting for who I feel should get the position.
So you felt like through the text messages you were being communicated to vote for certain people.
Yes, but they're not in my district.
Okay.
Holmes is not in my district. And there's nothing wrong with somebody telling somebody, hey, vote for this person or whatever, but it gets overwhelming. Just say what you're going to say, be done with it. Let's move forward,
Okay.
But the other words, when they say something negative, I have nothing negative to say back. And a lot of conversations I've had, people can say their negative statements is what I'm trying to say. But when you don't say anything negative back, they treat you a little, that's your feelings for that person. That's your feelings.
So she was communicating negative feelings to you. Is that what I'm understanding? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm assuming pointed in a certain direction.
Yeah, she felt like she helped Hildebrand get his seat.
Okay.
And then the statement was, and I have it in a text message, and these are her feelings. He
Right.
drank the poison.
Okay.
So now I drank the Kool-Aid.
Okay.
And that's why I'm talking about this. He drank the poison, so I drank the Kool-Aid.
Okay.
I haven't drank anything because nobody can make me do nothing. Mr. Hildebrand has never said to me, hey, Tamela, vote for me. He's never said that to me. Not one day.
Okay.
And I like being a fair person.
Okay.
And let people vote for who they want to vote for.
Right.
You can't push somebody into doing that.
Yeah. There was a time years ago where nobody ever talked about who they were voting for.
Right.
And I don't know if we can get that genie back in the bottle, but
Right.
maybe.
You got to keep in mind that a pair of lips will say anything. and I could tell you that I'm voting this way, and I can get my paper, get my
Yeah.
ballot, and
Right.
do it the opposite. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
So she just eventually quit texting me and calling me because I wasn't saying what she wanted me to say back. That's how I feel.
Okay.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Gotcha.
You know.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
It makes sense.
Complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
On a personal side, and we'll kind of wrap this up. On a personal side, how do you feel personally about people attempting to use you as a pawn?
When I said the pun, put on the board for a pun, that's how I felt. I felt like, was I just put here for them to tell me what to do? Saying it without saying it,
Yeah.
Because she did say to me, now, I'm not trying to tell you how to vote. No, but, when I vote my way, you say you're not trying to tell me how to vote. I receive a phone call when it goes through. So I'm like, is she trying to tell me how to vote? Because this is not fair,
Gotcha.
So the communicating kind of stopped.
Okay.
The communication stopped. It just, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Right.
The ones that were calling me stopped calling me.
Right.
Stop being friends or whatever, and I wouldn't say speaking, because the members that sit to the left of me, they would speak, but it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
And that was fine with me. Hey,
Gotcha.
if you don't like broccoli, you don't like broccoli. I'm not mad.
Right.
But we all grown here.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, Miss Norsworthy and I, we have voted different.
Right.
And we cool. We still laugh and talk, and no problem.
No doubt.
But you're gonna treat me different, And with the situation that happened March 2nd, I have people that's not on the JEDCO board telling me, hey, I kind of heard about what happened. What happened? Because I'm being told nothing happened.
Really?
And I'm told, and this was what was said to me. So allegedly, Mamie Horn and Debbie Foster is telling people that it didn't happen.
Were either one of them there?
Miss Foster was there, but I didn't see Mamie there. I didn't see Miss Horn there. I did not see Horn there at all.
Okay.
And I was so mad, but I didn't see her.
Sure.
And I'm like, why would they do that? Because this is open to the public that happened. Randy Sayers cussed Debbie out, right? So he curses her out. She tells me that he cussed her out at one time. And she says that she was, he shouldn't have did that. That was disrespectful. So I feel the same way she feel. Me getting cursed out, I feel like you feel, and nobody has called me and said, well, Tamela, I'm sorry that happened, except Mr. Beal, Miss Norsworthy, Mr. Scott, Nicole, Mr. Hildebrand. Even though Mr. C. Strunk and Mr. Lewis wasn't there, they did reach out to me apologizing that happened. Mr. Norsworthy did. People that's not on the JEDCO board call me and say, hey, I heard about what happened. I hate that happened to you.
So a whole lot of people, including a number of people, including the folks on the board, knew it happened. And yet you're hearing that the narrative is that
it did not happen.
Okay.
So I pressed charges on Sample.
Okay.
It took me 2 weeks because I wanted to be in my right mind. You can go to the jailhouse and be so mad and be hostile. And I didn't want that. I wanted to go with a clear head, just clear. I didn't want to go in getting all upset, because I actually cried for about 3 days. I never experienced anything like that. Over a seat, you want me to get up and let somebody, in other words, you get up and let the queen sit down in his eyes, not mine.
Right.
But that's not fair.
Well, plus, at the same time, you are, like you stated earlier, you are working through still a lot of emotions as it pertains to losing your husband.
Yes. But he warned me about all of this. I have to give my husband props, because Tony looked me in my eyes and he said, I hate you want to be in stuff like this. I know that people, I know that they contact you in a whisper, because his voice had changed. Yeah. And he was like, get ready, Because when you don't do what people want you to do and think like them, he said, people change. He said it. People change. He said, I hope you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
And I know you can handle yourself. He said, I know you can. And he just told me that, and I just keep on hearing him telling me this.
Yeah.
Because I do not bother people, and I am not perfect, you know?
Right.
But it just hurt me. I'm just hurt.
Well, I'm sorry that happened to you as well. Mm-hmm. I will say this. Maybe people can, maybe this helps clarify a few things for people.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would like to say to the public?
I just want them to know that we're doing our best on JEDCO. We had to get a few kinks out. No money was taken.
Okay.
And that Jasper can grow. I would love to see Jasper grow. A lot of us on the board would love to see Jasper grow. And that's what we're here for. I would love to see the sports center just boom out. And I'm praying that that happens. And I just want everybody to know that give us time. You know, we're doing our due diligence. I'm telling you, we are doing the best that we can on JEDCO. We are.
Was there ever a decision from JEDCO to actually give Mr. Hopkins an official apology?
No, I made the statement because if it were me, Jay, I would want an apology. You know, I would want an apology. That's like his character. I don't even know him.
Okay.
That's just like his character, you know? And so I feel like if people seeing me and they seeing me as a thief and I haven't stole anything,
right?
No money has been taken. Come on now.
I got you. Makes sense.